On the local front, we have a state representative, state senate, and then obviously the governor's office. We have some support in at the State House, but there's one person that stands out in our eyes. He's been there for the statewide Verizon bill hearings in A1 this past year, and sits on the telecom subcommittee, and he's a huge voice of community media and a good friend of Massaccess. So he's going to be this year's recipient of Legislator of the Year. When we go in and we talk about the Verizon bill, as we called it, 1687, S1687, I think it was, and you know, the version of it, the lighter version of it in 2011. Remember that we were in there in 2007, 2009, and probably be back in there in 2013. We have some champions in there, and Representative Stephen DiNatale is our Legislator of the Year this year. He's our champion. He was born and raised in Leominster. After graduating from St. Bernard's Central Catholic High School, he enlisted in the United States Navy and served for 4 years as an operations specialist, third-class petty officer. Following his military service, he entered Fitchburg State College and graduated in 1979 with a bachelor's degree in sociology. Immediately after college, he was employed as a correctional program officer for the Massachusetts Department of Correction. He accepted a position with Wang Laboratories. Remember Wang? Hopefully you're still getting a pension from there. As a senior human resources representative. After 10 years with Wang, he spent the next 15 years employed for the Mass Department of Correction, Sex Offender Registry Board, in the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health. Before being elected as state representative of the 3rd Worcester District, Stephen served 5 years on the Fitchburg School Committee and 3 years as a counselor at large on the Fitchburg City Council. We have something in common. Representative DiNatale in his third term and is in his third term in the Massachusetts House of Representatives. He is vice chairman of the House Committee on Global Warming and Climate Change. We know how that affects Fitchburg. He is also a member of the Joint Committee on Higher Education, Telecommunications, Utilities and Energy, and Economic Development and Emerging Technologies. He also knows when to call Bill. Keith. Or was that a text message? He is a member of St. Anthony's de Padua Parish, the Sons of Italy, the VFW, American Legion, the St. Joseph Club, and Knights of Columbus. Are you ever home? He has 2 children, and he resides in Fitchburg with his wife, Joanne. And before I call up Representative Stephen DiNatale, we have a little gift for you, Joanne, from Massaccess and our membership. Can somebody grab the gift for Joanne? Joanne. That's just for putting up with Stephen. So we have, we would like to give Representative DiNatale this plaque. We try to make this plaque worthy of being hung up in his office and not find its way to the attic to collect dust. So it's a very nice plaque, similar to the one that we gave Congressman Markey last year. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Representative Stephen DiNatale from Fitchburg. He's one of our friends, and he's our Legislator of the Year. Thank you, Thank you. Can you take a picture?
Thank you, Bob, and thanks, Massaccess, obviously. You know, oftentimes the word tireless is used for certain people that I encounter in the State House. But in truth and in fact, Mr. Kelly is, in fact, tireless. The guy wouldn't leave me alone. That's why I got involved. But, you know, I'm going to be very brief. It's so important, the work that you folks are doing. And the reason I was so involved in what was happening with that Verizon bill that we call it was because it was going to impact adversely on my city and my public access station. I had people in the Boston area who had an opportunity to see some of the work that our public access station does in Fitchburg. They were just beyond themselves in terms of the quality of the workmanship, the product that was coming out of that facility, the equipment that was used, and it's so important. That PEG access is so important to all of our communities that bills like the Verizon bill are going to jeopardize that. And our hope is that it stays in committee. As a matter of fact, I mentioned to Bob prior to coming up here that I'd like to have a conversation with Senator Rodrick, who is the author of that bill. And I know it's been filed, Bob, what's it, since '07? Yeah. Where are you? '07? Yeah. Yeah. Probably a nice conversation I'd like to have with the senator is, why don't you withdraw it? Put it to bed. And so we won't have to deal with it any longer. It's not a good bill. I'm sorry, Senator Rodrick, who's a friend of mine, but we need to take a look at that, and it just doesn't work. But again, I want to say thank you for this honor. I'm not sure I really deserve it. But you know, Bob, I always wanted the gavel. This is one way of getting it, huh? And again, there it is. There's the gavel. Doesn't come off there, though, does it? Thank you all again, and thank you for the work that you do in Massaccess and all the communities in the Commonwealth. Thanks again.